Hey, good evening, everyone. It is great to be back with you with the second of this season of Worship Leader Conversations. If you caught last week, I was chatting to Noel Robinson, who's a very well-known worship leader, songwriter. We had a great conversation. In fact, we took it the whole hour. Instagram actually shut us down because we went on for so long. Well, Noel went on for so long. There's so much stuff packed into that conversation, so check it out. Watch it again by going to my YouTube channel. There's a link in my bio, and you can catch up with the whole conversation. And I had a chat with Noel afterwards. After we finished, he kind of rang up and we kind of chatted some more, and he was sharing some of the other stuff that had been going on in his heart. So we're going to arrange to have a second part 2 interview with Noel Robinson later on this autumn, probably sometime in October. There was so much more that Noel wanted to share, so I want to give him the chance to be able to do that, because there was so much great stuff in what he was sharing last week. So that'll be coming up in October. My guest tonight, I'm really excited about this. My guest tonight is Shahab Mohajerani. I really hope I pronounced your name correctly there, Shahab. But Shahab is the worship leader at Kings Church Persian up in Bolton. Now, I've known Kings Church for a long time. The pastors there are Derek and Georgina Smith and Adam and Susie Islip. And I've known them for quite a few years. Really great people, really great church. I've not known a great deal about their Persian congregation. I think that's a fairly recent thing. But tonight we're going to find out by chatting with Shahab. And he's got a great testimony. I'm hoping that he's going to share some of it tonight. But he was saved from a Muslim family and became a Christian, and is now getting involved in church. He's now leading worship at this Persian congregation. So I'm really looking forward to bringing Shahab in. I'm going to bring him in a minute. Before I do that, I just want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Whether you are watching this live or you're watching this on catch-up, it is so great for you to join us. And if you're joining the live now, it'd be really great if you could say hi in the comments down below. Let us know where you're watching from. I've had loads of people start following me in the last few days who I am convinced are friends of Shahab's. So they, as we've advertised it, and particularly as Shahab has advertised it, I think some of his friends have been following on that, and they're ready and waiting to watch tonight. I'm looking forward to meeting some new people. So so say hi in the comments as you're joining. And if you're watching this on catch up on YouTube, thank you for joining. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, which is coming very soon, thank you again for joining. It is great for you to have you with us. And I hope this stuff really blesses you. The whole point of these conversations is that we bring in worship leaders, and it's not about whether they're famous or not. You know, it's great to have Noel last week, really great, but I want to hear from the worship leader who's just serving week in, week out, just making it happen, making it work, serving their house, serving their people, and learning from them their journey, and giving them the opportunity to share the things that they've learned, whether that be the good stuff or the bad stuff. You know, everyone has successes and they have obstacles of whatever it is that they're going through. And there's so much we can learn. You know, there's stuff that people have already walked through that you as a worship leader are about to walk through, and you can learn from that. You can learn from the things that they got wrong and wouldn't ever do again, and you can learn from some of the successes that they've had, the things that they implemented. You can learn from that and implement those kind of things yourself. So I really hope these conversations are blessing you. Again, like I say hi in the comments down below as you're joining. And if you have any questions that you want me to ask Shahab during this conversation, then drop it into the question mark box down at the bottom of the screen, and I will throw that question in. I would love to have you join in with the conversation and be a part of what we're doing here. Okay, so that's all the pre-waffle all done and finished. I'm going to bring in Shahab, and we're going to get going. Bear with me. Here we go. Right, are we ready? There he is.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Shahab. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a real pleasure, a real pleasure. So, first of all, am I pronouncing your name right? Is that okay?
Unfortunately, not the surname.
Oh no, I'm
Now,
sorry.
let me tell you a secret though. The
Yeah.
surname that I put on Instagram is not even my full surname. My full
Okay.
surname is 15 letters long. So,
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah, I've decided to shorten it to just Mohajerani. But my full surname is
Mahajirani.
Zahed Mohajerani, which, nobody
Okay.
can ever pronounce. So it's
Fair
fine. It's
enough.
all good.
I appreciate your grace. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to find out about your journey because this I think it's going to be a really interesting story. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to what you're going to share tonight. So usually my first question is where are you? I know I've mentioned the kind of church you're at, but where are you based? And how did you get involved in King's Church and King's Church Persian? And how long have you been there? And what's your team like? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course. So, obviously, I'm now at King's Church Persian campus,
Yeah.
which initially started about 4 years ago. Now,
Okay. Yes.
so the way I got involved with King's Church was that I knew the pastors who are now
Yeah.
the campus pastors at King's Church Persian campus. Pastor Faraz and Pastor Della are amazing leaders. I knew them
Okay.
from the previous church I used to serve at. So
Right.
they moved to Bolton. They started a new journey of a new church. Under the leadership of Pastor Derek and Georgina.
Yeah.
So I moved over and helped them with worship. So I'm now the Persian campus worship pastor at King's
Fantastic.
Church. So yeah.
Fantastic. So where are you from originally? You're not
Yeah.
from Bolton,
No, no, no. So I'm
right?
originally from Iran. I was born in a
Okay.
town called Hamadan
Yeah.
in Iran, and I was born into a Muslim family. So do you
Yeah.
want me to go through
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
testimony now?
I'd
Yeah, go
love you to
straight
share your
into it.
testimony. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. So basically, I was born into a Muslim family, and for the first 11, 12 years of my life, all I knew was religion.
Yeah.
And so in Iran, we had a pretty good life, pretty decent life, as good as life can get without Jesus. And so my dad wasn't, extremely rich, but we were okay. We were
Yeah.
wealthy enough. We had a good life. My parents were quite loving, and even though I had everything that the world would consider a good life, I still had this emptiness inside of me that I couldn't really fill with anything, even though most people would say, you've had all that you needed, but
Yeah.
I couldn't fill that emptiness inside of me with anything. And when it came to the idea of God, every time I thought about God, it was mostly just me getting, quite upset about my own situation, because I felt like if there is a God, he probably doesn't really like me. So
Okay.
yeah, so that was my mentality, my journey. Long
Yeah.
story short, we moved to England, and for the first time ever, I get invited to go to an Iranian church in
How long
England.
ago? How long ago did you come to England?
That was 10 years ago. 10,
Okay.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
10, 11, 10 years ago. Yeah. So I went to an Iranian church in Liverpool.
Oh wow.
Yeah, got invited to go there. And my journey actually is quite interesting, because my journey started in worship, because my
Right.
first ever encounter and experience with God was when they started worshiping. Now, at the
Yes.
time, I did not play any instruments. I liked music, but I didn't play any instruments. I didn't sing. And when people started singing, I didn't know what was happening to me. Now I know it was the
Yeah.
presence of God, being manifested.
Yeah.
He was being enthroned upon the praises, and I was just having this encounter. All I can say is that I felt loved by God for the first time ever
Yeah.
in my life, and that was a really strange feeling for me to have, because I always thought I need to work harder. I need to, just convince this creator up above not to hate me. But when I
Yeah.
felt his love for the first time, I had this radical encounter in worship, and I was just crying my eyes out. I was so
Yeah.
embarrassed about it, but I couldn't help it. So yeah, that's kind of started my journey of search, and it started my journey of asking questions, asking more and more questions. And I think it took me about 4 or 5 months of going to church and asking questions, clarifying
Yeah.
questions. that got me to, you know, finally surrender my life to the Lord and become a Christian. And here I am, leading
Fantastic.
worship.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And so how did you actually get involved in the worship part of church? What kind of led
Yeah.
you to that? Yeah,
Yeah.
leading
So
worship or being in a worship team, as in,
yeah,
you see
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, of course. Yeah. So for me, my whole like musical experience started after I gave my life to Jesus. So it's actually quite interesting. The only reason why I started learning music was because I wanted to worship in my secret place. I had no
Wow.
intention of going up on the stage,
Yeah.
no intention of leading worship. I was actually quite shy. I was actually quite scared of people, you know.
Yeah, sure.
I was so terrified of even being up on a stage in front of people. So I had no intention for being a worship leader or even playing music, you know, in my church or anything. But I just started learning an instrument, the
Yeah.
guitar, to be more specific, just to worship my secret place, really, because I tasted something in the
Yeah.
presence of God that I could not. I just needed a stronger language than Farsi and English to be able to
Yes.
express it. And
Yeah,
music,
sure.
you know, was that strong language that really helped me to kind of encounter God and express what's in my heart towards Him and to hear from Him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of my journey of, you know, just learning music, learning
Yeah.
worship songs, and got me to go into volunteering into the church as well later on.
Yeah. And that was that was at the church, was that at that church in Liverpool before you moved
No.
to Bolton?
So I only stayed in that church in Liverpool for I think 2 or 3 weeks. We moved
Oh,
instantly to
okay.
Manchester. Yeah, we moved
Oh, right.
instantly to Manchester. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I went to prior to King's Church Bolton, the Persian campus.
Yeah.
I was involved in a different Iranian church in Stockport.
Yeah.
That's where I got to know my current pastors, the campus pastors at King's Church Persian.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was where I initially started volunteering in worship.
Fantastic. And so the King's Church Persian team, and obviously you're a congregation of King's Church.
Yeah.
And like I said in my intro, we've known Derek and Georgina and Adam and Susie for a number of years. We love what they do. How does your congregation fit within the overall context of King's Church?
Sure. So at King's Church, we always say this. We say we're not six different churches. We're not six different, you know, churches with six different styles. We're one church in six
Yeah.
different locations.
Yeah.
So you know, with the Persian campus, we've always just tried to pursue the same culture that King's
Yes.
Church champions and go after that. Obviously, with it being a Persian campus and having a very specific target audience, we have, you know, a specific kind of strategies in order to reach Iranians and
Yeah.
especially people from a Muslim background. But
Yeah.
the whole, I would probably say, you know, just having the same culture, having the same goal, the same aim to
Yeah.
just see every single nation come to Jesus would be the thing that keeps us all as one family. And we love King's Church, you know, it's really home to us. So yeah.
That's fantastic. And so how long have you now been the worship lead, or at King's Church Persian? Are you kind of, do you oversee the team at King's Church Persian?
Persian, yes.
Persian.
So
Sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm the worship pastor at King's Persian. So
Yeah.
obviously, you know Ben Islip.
Yes. Yeah.
He amazing guy. He
Yes.
oversees all the creative teams across all six campuses,
Yeah.
and obviously each campus has a specific leader that kind of pastors the worship team within that campus. So I'll be the worship pastor at King's Persian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what is your team like in at your Persian congregation? How big is it? What kind of makeup? What do you do?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, we have a group of 8 amazing musicians. It's your typical kind of
Yeah.
worship team: drums, bass, guitars, electric guitar, you know, keyboards, singers. But obviously, the songs are often Persian songs that we write ourselves. So,
Okay.
yeah. So a lot of times, especially previously in the past, a lot of English songs were translated into Farsi, into Persian, which we
Yes.
used a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
and that was great. But we have really pressed into, writing our own song,
That's fantastic.
yeah, some of our songs have been previously released through other amazing ministries,
Yeah.
which different worship leaders within our King's Church Persian campus have been involved with. But coming together as one team and one band now at King's Church Persian, we've kind of decided to release the sound of King's Church, if that makes sense, that unique
Yeah.
sound that God has given us,
Yes.
by writing our own songs. And we've been doing that recently. And we've released one full band kind of song at King's Worship. King's
Fantastic.
Worship page on Instagram and also
Yeah.
YouTube. And then the coronavirus hits and we couldn't release anymore. So
Yeah.
kind of stopped by that. And hopefully
Yeah.
when we go into the building again soon, we'll be releasing more songs.
You can
So,
start
yeah.
do some more stuff. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And so I imagine, is everything that you do as a congregation, is it in Farsi, or do you kind of mix with a little bit of English, or is it pretty much all Farsi?
Well, most weekends is all in Farsi, yes. So
Yeah.
all of the service runs in Farsi. The songs, the preach, everything, the
Yeah.
announcements, the offering, everything is in Farsi. But even the lyrics up on the big
Yeah.
screen, it's in Farsi. So
That's
but
fantastic.
obviously, because within King's Church we have so many awesome leaders, and not all of them speak Persian. So when
Sure.
they come to preach at the Persian campus, they have to have a translator. So
Yeah, you have to,
sometimes
for
translate,
Pastor
but-
Derek, he shows up and you have to,
Yes.
you need
Exactly
a translator
right.
for him
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And so as well, I think this is really interesting because obviously, I grew up in a white church background, so to learn from how another ethnicity, whatever way you want to describe it, but you are all Persian.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of distinctiveness about your culture that
Sure.
you're putting into how you do church, how you gather together on a Sunday morning. There's going to be a little bit different to how a majority white congregation will
Sure.
do it. What are kind of some of the distinctive parts of what you do that is just this is your culture, this is who you are as Persians,
Sure.
and this is how you express your love for God?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing that comes to my mind is expressiveness. Persians are very loud. So if you come to one of our services, there are a lot of shoutings and dancings and, just people singing out loud. And so, I guess Persian people, because especially we all come from quite a religious background, being exposed to a relationship with God, people just so free in worship. And, for me, coming from a Muslim background, nothing could have convinced me to come into a personal relationship with God if it wasn't something tangible and if it wasn't something real that I could have, grabbed a hold of. So, just having that encounter and tasting the love of God for people who have been bound in, religion for so many years is just causes a lot of expression to come out. So that would be one
and
of
that's
the
fantastic.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, and the presence of God is the presence of God, regardless of your culture or ethnicity or anything like that.
Exactly
it's just
right.
pure, and it's just amazing. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So good. Yeah.
So tell me, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you as a team leader has faced, and what have you done to overcome them?
Sure. So I think one of the things that come to mind for me is as a team leader, and especially as a worship pastor at King's Persian, has been probably staying in that narrow lane, that narrow path of being faithful to the small, but also determined to go further and beyond. Because I think it's such a narrow path of always being thankful, always being grateful for what you have, but also at the same time pursuing the greater depths. So let me tell you this. The Bible story the very famous Bible story of David and Goliath, where it says, you know, David tried to attack this giant with just a slingshot and a couple of stones. We sometimes, I guess, at church, at least in my case, we've used this Bible story to kind of spiritualize our own laziness and kind of say, oh, David did it with a slingshot,
and two stones.
You know, I can do it with, you know, what I have, and, you know, it's all fine. But what we don't realize is that, yes, that's true. David started there, but he didn't stay there. David actually, you know, became a warrior. He went through a journey of growth, and he expanded into becoming a person who was comfortably capable of even using, later on in the story, we read that he even takes Goliath's sword, which was very heavy, and he wins battle with that sword. So what I'm trying to say is it's good to start where you start, but it's not good to stay there. And for me, the biggest challenge has been to keep that balance of, you know, being grateful, being faithful to the small that God has given me, but at the same time not get comfortable there and actually pursue the personal growth and going after excellence, and, you know, just really growing in what God has given us. So that's fantastic.
So what have you done? How have you made that happen in yourself?
Yeah, so in myself is always been to put myself up for challenges. That's been one of the main things, because I know me, I personally get comfortable very easily. So I constantly need that reminder. Yeah, amen. I constantly need that reminder of, you know, let's move forward. Let's go, you know, above and beyond. And I just constantly keep challenging myself and putting myself up for new challenges to help myself in that way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's good. All right, next question. Here we go. I like this one. Looking back, is there anything that in hindsight you wish you'd never done?
That's a tough question. Yeah, I wouldn't say there is something that I regret that I wish I'd never done, because let me say, I've made a lot of mistakes. Okay, so let's just put that out there. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I just think even the mistakes were kind of part of my journey to make me grow and become who I am now. So I don't know. I think if I was to go back, I would probably tell myself to not fear failure, and to just give it a try. You know, even if it feels scary, to just not fear failure and always go up for new challenges.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good.
Yeah.
So what have been some of the best things that you've done as a leader for your team, you know, to bring about growth or to, you know, change a mindset or something? What kind of strategies or things, activities or anything, you know, what have you done that you've seen turn something around in your team or just take them up another level?
Sure. So we really emphasize, especially at King's Church, at Kings Persian, we really emphasize the power of rehearsals. So I think, you know, having a really productive rehearsal can really help, and that's been one of the greatest things that helped us as a team to kind of, when you go to the next level in your rehearsals, I've always had this experience that our worship experience goes to the next level as well. So some of, if I speak really practically, some of the stuff that we've done is even practice not only the songs and you know, set list and all the stuff that we do on Sunday, but also practice spontaneous worship. Now that might sound contradictory, because how do you practice spontaneous songs? You know, but I just think it's really helpful. The way we do it is we just set like a chord sequence that everybody plays to, and then get all the singers, open up a psalm, and then just allocate 5 verses to each singer and go over and over and just sing spontaneously those Bible verses within that chord progression that's going on. And that really helps to train us to kind of, even in the middle of worship, if we feel something in the room, or if you feel like God is, you know, trying to communicate something to the crowd, then it just becomes easier to pick up on something and just sing it out in the moment. So yeah, I would say practicing everything, not just the songs, not just the set list, even practicing spontaneous. Being spontaneous has really
Yeah.
helped us. And I would probably say just having fun together as a team.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, I think eating takeaway together would sometimes do, you know, a lot more than hours and hours of prayer and intercession as a team. Now that's
Yeah.
good. We pray together. I encourage that.
Just a good
But,
curry.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly right. Just eating something together always, you
Yeah.
know, really helps. You know, just laughing together, crying together, being a family really helps to cultivate that culture of being close
Yeah.
together, being a family. And so when you're up on the stage, you know you've had history together, and so
Yeah.
that really helps. That really helps in a
That's
worship setting.
fantastic. So
Yeah.
what are your rehearsals like? I mean, do you have a dedicated night during the week? I mean, before lockdown, would you
Corona.
had
Yeah.
a dedicated night, and what would that night look like?
Yeah. So we often practiced on Saturdays, Saturday nights,
Okay.
and what we did was just real quick set up. You know, just set the stage, just pray together, just have some time of worship together. Sometimes one of our leaders brought a little teaching or something to encourage us to kind of set the scene,
Yeah.
and then the actual rehearsal would just look like line check. Obviously, sound check would take a lot of the time. You know, just
Yeah.
doing the line checks, sound checks, and then in-ear monitor checks for each
Yeah.
individuals, and then obviously just going through the songs. You know, and because we write most of the songs ourselves, it's been quite a fun journey of kind of putting our own taste into the songs and just
Yeah.
organizing and kind of arranging the songs in a way that we would like and changing that from
Yeah.
time to time. So it's been a fun journey of playing around with things
That's
like that
fantastic.
every
Do you
Saturday. Yeah.
I mean, you say that you use in-ear monitoring. Does that mean that you use a click as well? Do you
Yes.
use tracks? Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So we didn't initially use clicks,
Yeah.
but we've started using that for the past, I think, 1 year,
Yeah.
year and a half. So as the band started growing, we got more and more musicians, because obviously King's Church Persian is 4 years old. So
Yeah.
you know, initially we only started with like 1 or 2 musicians, and over the years it's
Sure.
now grown to, you know, a full band. So
Yeah.
as we grew, we kind of introduced these different technologies. You know, using Sunday sounds was another big step that we took that really improved our sound and
Yeah.
the taste, especially from the guitars and from the Nord. So yeah, click tracks was another thing that really helped to
Yeah.
really just grab the whole band together.
And how did you find introducing the use of click to your team? Did everyone like grab it straight away and we're in,
No.
or was it a little bit different? Yep.
Challenging is,
Yeah.
in one word, very challenging. But yeah, so so what we did was I just encouraged everyone to, even in their practice times at home, to use a click.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
you know, for me, the sound at the start was really annoying. You know,
Sure.
it was kind of a distraction to worship. But you know, I found that the more I kind of used it and the more I listened to it and tried to practice using a click, it kind of just faded away. It was just there, but I wasn't really paying attention to it as much as before. So it took time. Sometimes, you know, we fell out of the beat and we had to stop the click, and, you know, be on it again later in the song. So yeah, it's had its own challenges.
Fantastic. I've got a couple more questions, if that's all right.
Sure. Yeah.
First of all, what has been the best encouragement or piece of advice that you've been given by someone else that has kind of really left a mark in your heart?
Yeah. So for me, I would probably say the best advice I've been given is to prioritize my own time with God and prioritize my own walk with God over leadership, over ministry, and over everything that I do. Because you can never lead someone to a place that you've never been before. You know, you can never take somebody by the hand and lead them to a place where you've never encountered or experienced before. So I would, the best piece of advice I've been given by my leaders and people who've poured into my life has been to just prioritize that secret place of, pursuing all that I want to lead people to. If I want to lead people into the presence of God, I need to first seek that presence in my secret place for myself.
Yeah.
I need to be aware of that presence. I need to, if I want to lead people into joy, I first need to find that joy in my secret place with God. So just pursuing God for myself first and foremost, and then lead people to that same place where I've been before. So
yeah,
that's
good.
What I would
That's good advice. That's fantastic. What have you been doing during this whole lockdown period where we haven't been able to gather, you haven't been able to rehearse, but also you're not leading worship on a Sunday morning in a building in front of a congregation? What have you been doing? I imagine you've been doing stuff online. What have you been doing?
Yeah, so all of our obviously services has been online, as you said. For the Persian campus specifically, we have done our meetings on Zoom, we've done worship, preaching, everything through Zoom. But for me personally, lockdown has actually been a blessing, because it's been a time of just relaxing, pouring into myself, reading more books, just spending more time with God. And also we started recording some teachings on 7 Hebrew words for praise, and that's been one of the blessings of the lockdown. And we've released that through the King's Worship page, kingsworship.persian. And so it's got English subtitles as well. So
I'm very thankful for that.
English friends can have a look.
Yes. I've seen a couple of them. They're really good. They've been really good.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so any other kind of plans to do anything else like that?
Church is starting soon, but another thing that we did previously.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. I think by the end of September, I think church buildings are going to open. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. One thing I did previously as well was we wanted to really get our heads down and start recording our songs, but because of the lockdown, we couldn't. So one thing we decided to do, we thought, now that we have more time to spend with God during this lockdown, well, other people are going to have more time to spend time with God. So what we did was we started recording some of the songs that are based in a more kind of stripped down,
kind of acoustic-y kind of.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Kind of really intimate, secret place type of worship. And we started releasing a couple of those to kind of help people, just spend more time with Jesus in the lockdown. And we released a couple of songs like that. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's really good. So my final, excuse me, it's been really great, by the way. I've really enjoyed listening to you share your testimony as well. But you can see your heart for worship and for your heart for your team and for raising people up in worship. It's so good to see.
Thank you very much.
That's a pleasure. Is there any books or podcasts that you've been listening to? You mentioned just a moment ago that you've been reading a lot. Are there any some good books that you would recommend other worship leaders they need to read?
Yeah, sure. So where do I start? Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell has been a really good book on leadership. But more specifically for worship, I would probably say The Holy Raw by Chris Tomlin has been a good book. One of my favorite books, actually, Emerging Worship by Roland Wharton. It's been a really, really good book, which I've really enjoyed reading. Translating God by Sean Bowles has been a really good book. It really helps with kind of prophetic worship and how to hear the voice of God. And what else? The Worship Pastor by Zach.
Yes. Zach Hicks. Hicks as well.
So these are what I would say.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. But thank you so much, Shahab. It's been so good to connect with you and to hear your heart. And what I love is that there are so many similarities. Hearing what you're saying, there are so many similarities that I see in myself as a worship leader, leading a team, and it's really refreshing to to hear someone kind of just like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I believe. That's exactly what,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really great. Considering
Awesome.
considering your testimony, your salvation, coming from a Muslim family, a Muslim background, coming into a Christian encounter in the presence of God. It's so exciting to see that journey, that kind of journey take place as well. It's it's the power of God that
Yeah,
can take people
exactly.
from anywhere and turn them around. So, is there
So
anything
good.
else that's on your heart that you want to share?
Not really. Just to say, oh,
We've
go
had
on.
we've got a load of people. I think that are, they're clearly people that you're very well connected with. We've had people watching from Iran and Turkey, which has been fantastic. But yeah, it was so good to have so many people joining us and listening to your story, and
Yeah.
there's been loads of hearts flying up and fantastic, which is so they're obviously really enjoying what you've been sharing. That's really great.
Yeah.
But yes, anything anything that's on your heart that you want to share.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing that I would really say is probably as a worship leader, our all of us, our primary goal is just to host the presence of God. And as you mentioned, coming from a Muslim background, I think I said this before, nothing would have convinced me into even being interested into even reading about Christianity, other than tasting the presence of God for myself and coming into that face-to-face encounter with Him. So yeah, I would just pray and encourage everyone to really go after the presence of God in this time remaining in the lockdown before church starts. We actually had a week of just prayer and fasting because church buildings are opening, to really seek God and to really ask Him for a fresh anointing, for a fresh release of His presence for us. When we go back to the buildings, we would really have His presence just ministering to us. So yeah, that's been kind of my journey in the lockdown, and I would say let's pray for that, and let's really seek God to visit more and more Iranians and people from all cultures and backgrounds.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Shahab. It's been a pleasure speaking to you and listening to you here this evening. I've really enjoyed hearing your testimony and hearing your heart. It's been so good.
You.
And I hope we can stay
me.
connected. Oh, it's a pleasure. It's it's a great pleasure. I'm excited to kind of hear all these different stories, and hearing your story is phenomenal. So yeah, I hope we can stay connected, stay in touch. But thank you so much for joining me tonight, Shahab.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I loved it.
I'm glad. And pass on my love to Derek and Georgina and Adam and Susan, all the guys up in Kings. And thank you, and all the best getting back into your building.
Thank you very much.
I hope it goes well.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you so much. There we go. All right, that was Shahab. That was what a great conversation. It's so good. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you got some stuff out of that. There's so much there that Shahab shared, and I love his heart for worship and his heart for the presence of God and his heart for his team. It's really great to see. Thank you for joining me. Next Tuesday evening, I'm going to be chatting with Matt and Esther Barnes, who lead the worship at Connect Church up in Maidstone. Matt and Esther I've known for a few years. They come to our annual Empower conferences, and we've met with them at other times as well, done stuff with them. A lovely couple. I'm looking forward to hearing their heart. So come back, join me again next Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock here on Instagram. And don't forget, you can catch up with all of these conversations. The last season, the 13 conversations I had before summer, last week with Noel Robinson, and tonight with Shahab as well. It's been great. So many people joining us from Iran and Turkey. Jay from Atlanta, thank you for joining us. We're going to be chatting with you in a couple of weeks' time. Looking forward to that. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, catch up on YouTube, catch up on all the previous conversations. There's so much good stuff, hearing different people's hearts from different experiences all sorts. It's been really good. And follow me so on Instagram, so that you can find out when the next ones are coming up. Apart from that, and if you're a worship leader, by the way, I need to say this, I keep forgetting each week. If you're a worship leader and you want to share your story, I would love to chat with you. Please get in contact with me, send me a message, and I would love to hear your story and share it here on Instagram. But great, that's it. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.